Welcome to the Her Voice Shines podcast, where we celebrate the power, brilliance, and resilience of women everywhere. I'm your host, Shanasia Washington. Join us as we share inspiring stories and insights from extraordinary women who have found their voice and are making a difference. Together, we'll create a ripple effect, illuminating the path to visibility and empowerment. Let's break barriers, shatter ceilings, and lift each other up. In each episode, we dive deep into the journeys of women who have turned their challenges into triumphs and their dreams into reality. Whether you're looking for motivation, guidance, or a community that understands your journey, you're in the right place. Stay tuned and remember, let your voice shine. It's no secret. You know where you landed. It's the Her Voice Shines podcast. I'm your fellow social Shanasia Washington, streaming from the very hot, real hot, always hot Houston, Texas. And I'm back in my recording groove. You've been seeing all these fabulous episodes drop, and today is no different. I have a fabulous guest. I'm very, very excited because I went to do some digging. She's going to know when she comes to the stage, but she's going to do the drill, come to the stage, tell us her name, where she's streaming from, and we get the magic of that story without any further waiting time. Here's my very fabulous guest for today.
Hi, Shiandra. I'm so super excited to be here. My name is Mel Cunningham, and I am streaming here from Denver, Colorado, where we're having a little bit of spring and a little bit of summer. So super excited to be here today. So I am so excited to share my story, share my passion, and how I am where I am today. And so I come from the corporate background, from the experience, right? And I appeared that I had the successful career. I had it all. I climbed the ladder. I had the money. I had the recognition. I had it all. And from the outside, it looked like I had a fabulous life. And even though looking out and looking from the outside in, I was struggling. I was struggling with feeling like I was constantly struggling, trying to figure out how could I be seen? How could I be heard? And how can I continue to make the difference, right? And I was the one that everyone came to. I was the strong one. And like I said, it looked great. It was wonderful. But yet I was waking up anxious. I was waking up just frustrated and trying to decide, how am I going to make it through this day? And I did what everybody does, so many of us do, is we put a smile on and we move forward in our day. And we just go on autopilot, and we were like, okay, I'm here to do this, and I will perform. I will do what others expect me to do. And really the other big piece of it is I recognized that if I didn't show up as that person, and if I didn't do the things, and if I wasn't the go-to person, and if I wasn't climbing the ladder, then I would be passed over, right? So it would jeopardize my career. So there was no room for me to show the weakness or show any sign of struggle. And if I did that, then my career would suffer as well. So that is really how I got to today, right? And so really on the outside, it looked like I was successful. On the inside, I was completely disconnected. And I was sitting here thinking, is this it? Is this all there is? And so really it got so bad that everything came crashing down for me. I lost the job that I had tied my whole identity to. I actually lost my relationship because I was not present, and I was constantly consumed with work, and I wasn't sleeping. I mean, at the worst, I would be lucky if I got 2 hours of sleep a night. And then my health started to suffer, and that came crashing down as well. And I was literally in bed for 3 months and laying there thinking, oh my gosh, what is this? It took everything I could just to go take a shower. And all I remember thinking is this success? Is this what this feels like? Is this what it's meant to be like? And is this what it is? And, I had looked at some traditional therapies and things to heal. And really what the shift came and the turning point for me was when I finally went inward and started to connect with myself. I looked at alternative therapies and I was able to heal myself. But the big shift and the big change was when I checked in with myself and checked in to see where I was at, what I wanted. And so it wasn't that I was just burned out. I was completely disconnected from myself. I realized I was actually living my life on autopilot. And really, I had built a life around success that wasn't even mine. I was doing everything everybody else thought I should do. I was doing and I was achieving the idea, right, of success. And so this was a huge wake up call for me. And at that point, I had a choice. I had a choice to decide, am I going to continue to forge the way I have been forging, or am I going to shift and make that difference? And so that is where I am today. And so through that journey and through that process, I was able to really connect with myself and say, what is it that I want? What does success look like to me? What is it that I desire? What do I want my life to be like? Because I'm here to tell you that we get to decide what we want. And we spend so much time doing what we think we should be doing. And so I now lead a completely different life. I lead a life of clarity. I'm energized. I'm excited each and every day. And it's an opportunity for me to live on my purpose. And so I am connected and I'm aligned with what it is that I want, not what other people think I want. And so by being able to do this, that is where why I do the work I do, is because I see so many people running that hamster wheel, doing the hustle, thinking that if we just do one more thing. And really, I'm here to tell you, it's not about the doing, it's about the being. And so when we can really get connected with who we are, what we desire, and what we want, we can create anything. And we don't have to choose. We don't have to choose success or happiness or joy or fulfillment. We can have both. And so by being able to be aligned and energized and excited about this, that's when you create the difference. And that's when everything starts to come into alignment. Things become easy. Things become in flow. And this isn't about perfection. This is about us really taking who we are and living and standing and being in that.
So listen, I sit back here because it's a very parallel story to mine. I didn't just arrive here on this podcast speaking to Mel Cunningham. I too had to make the choice. So first thing, number one, I applaud you in the choice, because you said we have to make decisions and choices. So kudos to you for showing up to make a decision for you that probably ultimately saved your life. That's number one. Number two is this. During my process, I climbed the corporate ladder very quickly, 10 roles, 13 years, very, very quickly. The house, the car, the child, somewhat respect. I mean, it just looked very good on paper, right? But I just made a post yesterday. I was unseen in purpose, respected on paper, unseen in purpose, right? And it was that part of that became transformative to this journey. The reason why this platform exists, Mel, is because specifically women, that hamster wheel becomes their life, and they don't realize how much they lose on the hamster wheel. It was nice that I didn't sleep either. I had a small child. I stayed in my corporate career until kind of like mid-pandemic. I left in 2021. I had skin breakouts. I started to lose hair. This is real life. I'm telling you real life and what really happened to me. And I had to make that shift. So when I remember being in that rut, right, I still go back to that rut because I know that so many women are there that they're there and can't get out of it. So that's what makes me so connected to this purpose. So when I looked at her information, I said, she's singing the same old song. We might as well make a choir, because so many women have that. And I also, too, during that time, had to go through such a redefinition period of unlearning. The people closest to me didn't really understand it because it just looked so good. I'm like, well, if it's killing me, I'm not getting sleep, my hair is falling out, it can't be that good. So having to redefine what good is was a really big part, really, of my journey. Let me start here because I'm going to go. I had a different first question, but I'm going to go here. I want you to tell me, you said something about success without sacrifice. How do you define that? When I say sacrifice, maybe not sacrifice so many parts of you. And why is this concept so crucial, especially for high-performing women?
I love it. Thank you. Yes, success without sacrifice, because exactly what you just shared. There are so many women who are doing this, right? And we are doing all the things we think we should be doing and what other people want. And so when I look at success without sacrifice, that is taking back your power, understanding who it is that you want to be, living from your soul, right? Because like that's the thing. We're always chasing the external. And really, we have everything we need inside ourselves to create the life that we desire. So when I say without sacrifice, what is it that you want? Because so often as women, as high achievers, we feel like we have to pick. Am I going to have the career? Am I going to have the family, the personal life? Where am I going to be present? And it all starts with the clarity and understanding about who do you want to be? What is it that you want? And then how can you be that? How can you live that? Because even though, yes, hey, it's life, we have to, we can't change the things that are going around us. But what we can change is how we respond to it and how we step into our power. And by us being really clear, it's that crystal clarity, then we can make and choose those actions and we can live and choose from our purpose, right? Because success without sacrifice is knowing truly with your heart, who is it? Who are you? Who do you want to be? And leading from that. Because when we lead from that, we show up differently, we show up confidently, we show up boldly. And that's what it means to be without sacrifice. It's not about us having to choose something. It's about us being who we want to be and standing in that, claiming that. It's almost like taking that stake, claiming it and saying, this is who I am, and this is how I'm going to navigate what the world presents to me. And so by being able to be very crystal clear in that and being able to choose and understand that you don't have to choose one or the other. You can actually, when you come into alignment, you have that clarity and that alignment, everything else comes into flow then, right? Your actions, what are you doing? Who are you around? The company you keep, are you in corporate? Are you an entrepreneur? What are you doing? You are guided then with your true self, and your true self will never lead you wrong. And so that's why I look at sacrifice, without sacrifice is really meaning who are you and who do you want to be, and really claiming that and stepping into that.
I love it. I absolutely love it because it's just so mind-boggling. When I go back to who I was kind of before the shift, right? I get chills because there were so many cues that should have told me, Shanadra, you should have stopped a long time ago. I had so many cues, Mel. When I look back, I was just so in the thick of it and all this kind of stuff. And there was writing on the walls for years.
100%. 100%.
But years. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about sustainability because, it's the mindset shift. But then guess what? Your mind is constantly changing. It's constantly going to the new levels. It's constantly redefined. It's constantly responding to external stimuli. It's doing a lot of different things. So I know that what you do, it kind of combines evidence-based strategies, also too with mindset and energy. Tell me about how do these kind of work together for a sustainable approach? Because people, they don't know what they don't know. And as you continue to grow and glow, like I say,
I love that.
There are different components that fall into this. So tell me about sustainability and then why that holistic approach is so important.
Yeah, I love that. And that's the thing too, right? Is I'm not in here for the quick fix. And I am right there with you. I mean, the writing was on the wall, the information was there. And you know what? I just kept pushing it aside. And I kept saying, oh, when I have some time, oh, it's not right now. And so sustainability is everything because we've all been there, right? We've done the things, we've read the book. We're like, okay, I'm going to, change my habits. I'm, going to put a focus on, whether it's your business, maybe it's something with your health. And you're like, okay, I'm going to go full force. Well, then what happens is oftentimes we don't see the results immediately that we want. So then our mind says, oh, well, see, I told you so. Like, why would you want to change it? You just want to stay in that comfort zone, in that natural space where you've been. I told you you don't want to step out of that. And so really the big shift and the big change for me, and this is the part where I feel like people don't talk a lot about it because we focus so much on strategy, and there is a lot of talk on mindset as well. I'm here to tell you the biggest shift and the biggest change is your energy. And right, everything is energy. And that is where, think about it. Like when we wake up, we've all woke up one morning and, in our mind, we say, oh, this is going to be a bad day. And then something happens and then it just like snowballs, right? And then that day turns out to be a bad day. And that's energy and mindset. And so when we combine the energy work and we really start to understand what is happening, because everything starts with energy, and then our mind is telling us we're either affirming or questioning what it is that we want. And so when we combine the energy, we combine the mindset, and we combine the strategy, that is sustainable change. Because so often we want the quick results, and quick isn't long term. So when we can start to, and again, that goes back to that clarity and being able to say, what is it that I truly want? And I will tell you, that is the hardest question for people to answer. What is it that you truly want? That is so hard to answer. And oftentimes people are like, I don't know, because we haven't spent the time to think about that. So when we look at sustainability, we want clarity. We want to create that awareness of what is happening. Because again, when we're living on autopilot, we don't even know what's going on. Our mind goes over 95% of what goes on in our mind every single day is the exact same thing that's been going on forever. And so we have to consciously become aware and choose something different. And so that is when you have that clarity, you connect with the energy of that being, of what it is you desire and you want. And then you create something that's repeatable and you put that into practice. That's sustainable. And then that's where your life changes. My life is completely different because now I'm in control of it, right? And not control in a bad way, but control of saying, I'm choosing this for me, and this is who I want to be. So when you combine the energy, the mindset, and working with that, because that mind is very tricky, and that mind will keep us in that, comfort zone. So when we are trying to shift from something that we have been doing to what we are wanting to do, it's not going to. There's going to be like ebbs and flows, and you're going to make progress. And then, you're going to feel like, oh, why am I doing this? And the whole thing is when you can connect the energy, the mindset work, and the strategy, that's when you create sustainable long-term success. And then that's where you start to, what it is that you desire, you start living that. And it's not a question of it. It just happens because you are fully embodying it and you are being it.
Mm. And you have to make that choice, because one of the things that at the beginning for me, Mel, it was like, well, maybe I can do like a little bit over here and then try to put energy into this new lifestyle. It didn't work. It didn't work. I was really trying to straddle the fence because I was scared. I didn't know what life would look like outside of corporate. I had never sold anything. I had never done anything outside of work or corporate financial services.
Yeah. No, and you bring up a very good point, right? It's fear is on the other side of change, right? And it's much easier just to stay in the status quo, right? And you have to make that decision at some point to say, I want something different.
Yep.
And then that is also then what switches the energy and the mindset. And then of course we have action, right? We have to do something too. We can't just say, okay, I want something different, and then hope that something happens. We also then have to make intentional action to create that. And again, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going, you're going to have good days and bad days. But the thing is as much as the current is the norm and you feel like, oh, that's just comfortable, the new can be norm and comfortable as well too. But it will take some intention as well.
I love it. I want to make sure I ask you this, the competitive edge. Tell me about it and tell me really how it supports maybe ambitious professionals that really want to live in that aligned success.
Yeah, I love this. I'm super excited about the competitive edge. This is a new adventure for me. It's a partnership, and the reason competitive edge came about is recognizing this, right? We're ambitious, we're achievers, we want more. And the way we look at it too is it goes back to it's not competing with others, it's competing with yourself. Because right when you make that decision and you decide that you want something different and that you want to be the best version of yourself, that is where the power is, right? And then that's where you get the community. So the competitive edge is a community of high achievers, like-minded people who are there, who are doing well, who are making the things happen, and they're doing it in a way that feels good to them, and or maybe there are some struggles. So it's a community that allows you to come together with like-minded individuals and to learn, to grow, to have that support, have that community. Because let's get real. Again, we don't do this. Nobody does anything without support, right? And so by creating this competitive edge, it is something that has been in the works for a while. And I am so passionate about creating the space and the opportunity for people to come together and support each other, because we also know when we have that support, we can achieve so much more as well. And also, when we can feel like, because sometimes as entrepreneurs, as high achievers, sometimes we feel like people don't understand us. And so with the competitive edge, we are here to help show that, again, we're not talking about perfection here. We're not talking about the perfect life. We're going to get real, we're going to get raw, and we're going to talk about the things that help to move the needle, right? Because so often, again, even as high achievers, we get stuck in these modes. So how can we create that space and that opportunity to help people elevate to their best self? This is about, you're doing well, you're doing great, and I want more. I see more. How do I embody, step into more of me? And the beauty of this is when we lead ourselves first and when we become our best versions, it impacts everybody around us. So whether you're working in corporate, whether you're working entrepreneur, whether, family, it impacts everybody around you. And then that's when we create that change, even within our communities. So when we have connected people, when we have people who are clear, who are energized, who are focused on being their best selves, supporting each other, having that resource, because again, right, we know, especially as community, and especially, like I said, in the world today, sometimes it feels like we're on our own little island. So when we can create that safe space and we can share in that, and the other thing too is I always think like, I don't need to do this all by myself, and I don't need to figure this out. I want to, use resources, have those opportunities. So the competitive edge is exactly that. It's a place that you can come in, you can learn, you can grow, you can support, you can connect and, with like-minded individuals. And that's the other piece too, is that community piece, I think is so big, because especially even if we are struggling with something or things seem to be going well for us, having that community and that support around us makes everything better. And then when we create a community of people who are like on fire in an aligned way, powerful things can happen, powerful shifts happen.
That is so good, because there were some parts of what I would like to say my healing journey that were very personal and deep rooted. I needed that isolation to really spend that time with myself. But once I came out and I redefined, I had to connect with people who were on that same voyage. Because sometimes when you redefine and reshift, even the people around you look a little unfamiliar because you're operating from a different space. That's why I wanted you to talk about that, because there is definitely, I think, parts of your journey that you have to sit in and do the personal work. But immediately, because I'm telling you, new revelations are revealed after that personal work is done. And then where do you go and what do you do with that? It's finding the right community. So I love that competitive edge is doing that. I want to kind of circle back to signs, because there are people that will watch this, right? And they'll just glaze over it. Oh, that's not me. Let's talk about navigating survival. This is what just happened to me. I would see this stuff, they would talk about burnout. They talk about all these different things when I was in corporate. I'm like, oh, whatever, I'm young, I'll figure it out. But girl, Mel, I was burnt out. I was real burnt out. So let's talk about navigating survival mode, because so many women make that normal. They make the navigation of survival, it's just a norm. We just have to do it. We just have to do it. I want you to tell me some signs that you're operating in survival mode, because I don't want you guys to miss this. That's why I make it really plain. We have the questions, but this is where you need to listen, because there could be signs that you are in this cycle and could potentially get stuck. So over here.
I love that. I love that. And signs, I mean, like I said, I am totally with you because looking back, reflecting back, I mean, everything was there. And like you said, it wasn't just overnight. It was constant happening all the time. And so, right, we talk about burnout. And, sometimes I feel like, I mean, I talk about it all the time too, but what does burnout mean? And again, burnout's going to show up differently for everybody. But a few signs. Number one is listen to the things in your body. Your body is always sending you messages. So, right, we talked about sleep. If you're not sleeping, so often we're like, oh, it's just okay. We're not sleeping. No, if you are not sleeping, there is a reason you're not sleeping. And usually sleep is a big part of it because of the stress levels. If you're not, for example, numbing out, right, we all think, oh, we're busy, we're hustling, this is just a natural process to, do the emotional eating, numbing ourselves, with the glass of wine, the cocktail. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's the norm, if that's your go-to, if you're coming up against struggles or, challenges and your go-to reaction is to ignore it, that is another sign. If you are not present, the other big piece is, right? We think we have to put everything into our day, into our schedules. Like I have to show up for work. I have to show up for my family. I want to show up for my friends, all of this, all of these have tos. And when you are not able to be present in exactly what you're doing, that is another sign that you are on the track of burnout and stress. Same thing if you're having health challenges, especially as women, it comes back down to that sleep. If we're gaining weight, unexpected gaining weight, if we're choosing, if we have that stress mode, if you're feeling in your body, if you're sitting there and you're feeling like your breath is rapid, you're sitting here stressed, notice the tension in your body. If you can't even relax, if you're sitting in a chair and you're like everything is tense in your body, that is another sign of it. When you are choosing others over you, that's another big piece. Like we always want to, especially as high achievers, especially as women, we're givers, right? And so if everything is about the external and everybody else, that is another sign. And then chasing those external, right? Not, always saying like, okay, I'm not being seen. I'm not being heard. If I just do this one more thing, if I give up my, day to day, my family stuff, and I show that I'm committed to the company, all of those things, when you are not choosing yourself and you are not taking time for yourself, if you like even sitting, watching TV, watching Netflix, that kind of thing, nothing wrong with it. But if that is what you're doing, so you don't have to deal with reality, that's another red flag as well. And so anytime that you are choosing activities over finding out what is really going on, that is what you need to look for. And that's the thing. And the other thing too is listen to those that are close to you. Like I remember so many people would tell me things. So many people would tell me like, Mel, like you're so like you're so tense. We're sitting here having a basic conversation and you are like ready to be like, you're on attack mode, or like not taking care of myself physically, not taking, not having the time to work out, not having the time to put yourself first. It could even be like, I don't even have time to have a cup of coffee. And that is when your time is so out of imbalance and you're just not able to be present, I invite you to really reflect on that and say, okay, what is really going on?
That was a good segment, Mel. That was a really, really good one because it reminds me to kind of go back in my journey, especially when you talked about, moving things aside to look good for the company. It wasn't okay to go to work at 7 a.m. and leave at 7 p.m. with a 6-month-old baby after suffering a super traumatic labor and delivery months before. It wasn't okay. It wasn't okay for my presence to be away from, like you said, tables when you were sitting with people saying you're so tense. My presence just wasn't, I just wasn't there. I was there physically, but I just wasn't there because there was too much energy being put into things that really didn't serve me. So when I had Mel speak about that, it's a two-way street because it reminds me of how far I have come. Mm-hmm. And many of you, don't go back and look at some of those darker periods because if you don't, I'm not saying go back there and harp on it. That's not what we want. But oh my gosh, it makes a world of difference to know what you've done for yourself and the active strides you've taken to get away from that place. Thank you for that. Now, listen, Mel, I haven't got to do this in a long time. I'm going to give you an exercise. I got to do 2 of them, actually, but the first one is this one. Let's say we're at Mel's 80th birthday party. I don't know what kind of food you're having. I don't know how, the room looks. I don't know if it's destination. We don't know. But really what's most important is I want you to tell me what you're hoping that people are saying about Mel's life and legacy at her 80th birthday party.
Oh, that's beautiful. Like, what came to mind is I'm living in a beach community and I am enjoying life. And at my 80th birthday, I'm surrounded by friends and family and people who are close to me who are telling me, they're like, you did it. Like you are living the life and you have supported and helped so many people to create that shift. Because really, I believe that's my purpose. That's my mission, is to create a shift in others, in communities and families, because I know the power of this work. And like right now, I'm literally seeing people like, girl, you did it. Like and they know the story, again, that perseverance of pushing through, staying and understanding that, life has its ups and downs and there's those challenges and you persevered through them. And from that, you took the wisdom and the information. And not only did you help yourself, but you've, created this life of helping others, seeing the power of that. And it's just so much excitement of saying that, yes, you believed in what you believed you could do and you followed it and you did it. And today, you're still living the dream and you're doing it. And you are like an inspiration, like, right. They're all like, they see that as yes, if you did it, I can do it too. So I just think it's just having that support in that community. And I can see it. I can see it in my mind's eye.
I love it. And I pray that when you go back and you watch this again, you put little deposits to make sure you're keeping in with those daily strides to reach that mark. It's intentional. We have you do it because it is putting it into the earth so that it can later be manifested. It's what this podcast does. But we have to have a clear segment that tells our guests and our listeners out there where to find you. So this is a segment to cue over to you to give us any contact information, whether it's your socials, your website, whatever you want to provide. I just have to have a clear segment so we know how to reach out to you.
Yes, thank you. So yes, you can reach me on socials at Now and Zenergy, and on both Facebook, Instagram. My website is melcunningham.com. I'm also on LinkedIn under Mel Cunningham, and I think that's everywhere you can see me. And yeah, come check it out if you have any questions. And I'm always up for a conversation, and I'm here to support you any way I can in your journey.
I love it. Now we have to put you back to work, Mel Cunningham. This is our rapid fire round. I have 10 pre-prepared questions for you, and you just tell me the first thing that comes to mind. Maybe a sentence or two. Okay. Which is for you to stay fresh and on target. The first one, a morning routine that is a must-have.
Definitely starting the day with meditation, journaling, movement, and prayer.
Love it. Favorite book that inspires you?
Oh my gosh, there's so many great books. I'm going to go with one that's very present for me now, is The Let Them. Okay. From Mel Robbins, because I feel like, especially with high achievers, again, we spend so much time worrying about everything else. And if we just let them and we let ourselves be us, we can totally shift and change everything.
Oh my gosh, this seems so easy.
Right.
But there are some folk I need to just let them. Mm-hmm. So thank you. I have to check that out. Your go-to self-care activity?
Being in nature. Hiking, being outdoors, being next to the ocean. It totally shifts everything. And it's so, this is for anyone. Like if you're feeling frazzled or anything, go outside, take a walk, touch a tree. That might sound a little weird, but literally ground yourself and it can completely shift and change everything.
Even sitting here sometimes, even after recording or working, just going outside for just a minute, I actually come back with fresh ideas because I'm just kind of sitting here a bit, and then I go out there and it's like I'm re-energizing. So that actually is a very, very powerful tactic. Tell me one word, you only get one, to describe your coaching style.
Empowering.
That's good. Most impactful quote or maybe a mantra that you live by?
Well, what came to my mind is I can do all things through you. And that's directed towards God.
All things through Christ who strengthens me.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect way to say it. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
I'm a tea girl too. I love tea. Let's talk about a dream vacation destination.
I would say my dream vacation is I want to go to Spain. I've never been to Spain, and I feel very drawn to there. Yeah, experience just the culture and the speed. I enjoy, my favorite place to go is I enjoy Mexico. I feel like Spain is a little bit different, so I want to check that out.
Okay, now you may have already answered this in another question, but the best way for you to unwind after a very hectic or busy day?
I mean, my biggest thing is being in silence and taking some breath, like just coming back to myself, because that's the best thing I can do is it will literally shift. Same thing. Yes, go outside, but if I can't do that, I just need to be in silence and breathe and come back to me.
Oh my God, that is like so powerful. Like I haven't been able to do it probably in 3-4 weeks now, but typically, it's the silence first, and then it's the prayer, and then it's the meditation. And it does matter that order for me because sometimes I have to center myself to even know what to ask for in prayer and to be open and available to hearing, right? So that silence is it's a big deal.
Yes.
Tell me the biggest lessons you've learned, and this is hard because I got a lot of them, but the biggest lessons you've learned since being an entrepreneur. What has entrepreneurship taught you? The biggest one. I know it's a lot.
I know. I was like, wow. I think one of the biggest things that entrepreneurship has taught me is to be me, and that there's so much out there that, you should do this, you should do that, do it this way, 10 quick tips for this or that. And being able to cut through that noise and say, how do I want to do it? And that's different than saying, okay, I'm going to struggle and figure the way out. It's about, how do I want to do it? And I think entrepreneurship has taught me a lot of lessons about stepping into me, which of course translates into my business, but really stepping into who I am and being that person, because being me is my superpower. Like, because there's a lot of people, like, right? Coaches, there's a ton of coaches out there, but nobody can coach the way I coach, and nobody coaches from my perspective. So the biggest lesson is be you and do it your way.
And like I said, I left in 2021. I kind of took really a year off. And 2022 is when I really started to kind of do this thing. And after all the time, I feel like I'm finally landing into that do it your way. We know there's lots of coaches, like you said, and different people who have a part of the knowledge. But this podcast is part of that, being able to show up and do it my way. So it takes time, but it's worth it. Okay. And we kind of talked about this a little bit, but I always put it in this segment because I say you always have to say it and put it in the earth. Tell me your next thing on your personal growth journey. What's that next kind of thing that you're maybe manifesting or thinking about just for your personal growth? We're not talking about the competitive edge or any of this stuff that we have going on. we're just talking about for the betterment of Mel Cunningham?
I love that question. And this is a constant, something I continue to evolve and work on, is really creating this space for me to grow. And for me personally, I am creating so that I can split my time, so that I can, I live here in beautiful Colorado, and I want to spend part of my time in Mexico. I want to, have those two options. Maybe there's more. Maybe we throw Spain in there or something else. But I want that ability. So that is what I am working on, is creating that space so that I can live that lifestyle, that desire that I want, because I have sprinkles of it, and I am working on creating that space so that there is alignment in my business and personal fulfillment so that I can live the way I truly want.
I love it. And that was 10 questions, man. What an amazing rapid fire round. We just got to keep you fresh and make sure you're on the mark. So thank you for that. But this is the part in our show where we cue over to you for final thoughts. We tell our guests, give us some great parting words for the space that we shared, and really something that captures the essence of Mel Cunningham. And then after that, I'll be back to close the show. So over to you for final thoughts.
Thank you so much for today. It's been so amazing. And there's nothing that excites me more than being able to share the power of choice with others. And so my best advice is take time for you and ask yourself, what is it that you truly want? And think about it and give yourself that space, because everything you want, everything that you desire, everything that you want to create is already within you. And so by being able to take that power and take that connection with yourself, you can then create the life that you desire. And you don't have to choose between success or a personal life. You can actually have both of them. So my encouragement to you is be you, listen to your heart, and know that you already have everything that you need to create what you desire.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful time here, Mel. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you for being here, for showing up just like you. I pray that this place was a place that made you feel seen and heard and welcome. I thank you to everyone that's in the Her Voice Shines podcast land. I always tell you I love you. There's nothing you can do about it. And miraculous things happen when you let your voice shine. Until then, we'll be back with another amazing episode here on the Her Voice podcast land. And we love you.